All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Stone Brewing Company, and they're out of both Escondido, California, and Richmond, Virginia, and this is their Double Bastard Ale, and this is the 2024 release. So this is an American strong ale that comes in at 10.5% alcohol by volume, classified IBUs at the time of review, and this can is just under 2 months old. So I'm reviewing this as a shelfie beer for the month of July 2024, and this kind of personifies shelfie beers, in my opinion. So I haven't had this beer in many years, going back probably to the mid-2010s, and I remember when this one came out for the first time, or got distro here in the Buffalo, New York area. I remember getting the big 22 fluid ounce bomber and kind of drinking the entire thing and just being like, what the hell? Same thing with Arrogant Bastard. This is the double version of Arrogant Bastard. They also have like Lucky Bastard. They've done a bunch of barrel age variants. Was it Crime and Punishment was like a version, I think, of the barrel age, either Double Bastard or Arrogant Bastard with hot peppers and stuff. I've had a bunch within the Bastard series. This is the first I'm reviewing on the channel. So the Shelfie Beers is kind of revisiting classics, but also newer releases. This is definitely a classic from a bigger brewery in Stone. So I'm really looking forward to it. If you go to their website, they say the IBUs are classified, the hops are classified, the tasting notes are classified. I just remember this Arrogant Bastard just being big, malty, hoppy beers, just like everything, like the kitchen sink. It's all here. But we'll see how my palate thinks about it, because a lot of them were overwhelming back in the day for sure, especially Arrogant Bastard. I always found that one. They would have a whole spiel they would write on the the side of the bottle saying, "Oh, we dare you to drink this," and all that shit. And it was like, no, I get why they would say that, because it was definitely an intense experience, we'll say. So they have the two-sided too. You have, the black, and then you have the red. I think that's pretty cool. I like it. So we'll throw it over here. How does this look? Well, it looks, that has like a rust or like a copper color, a deep, almost mahogany, but I would say more like a rust color. I don't know how it's going to come off on camera, but in person, rust color. It has a good clarity, although it's probably going to look darker on camera, but holding up to the light, yeah, there's a good clarity. I can see my hand through the other side, definitely the shadow. Has almost a finger of this very, I would say, khaki colored head. It's not really going anywhere. Decent carbonation. Yeah, it looks nice. It kind of looks how I remember this beer being. Like, when I think of American Strong Ale, that is what I picture. It looks beautiful. Anyway, let's get a nose. So just under 2 months old. Is it super fresh? Not super fresh, but fresh enough. When I picked this one up, it was about 6 weeks old. So, Stone does a pretty good job with the freshness of a lot of their hop forward beers here in the Buffalo, New York area. And this is another one where it's pretty nice. And I've had this one both quite fresh and pretty aged, and I prefer it fresh, believe it or not. So the first thing I get off the nose is honestly a lot of like cherry. Like sweeter cherry, dark fruits. A lot of caramel. Maybe a touch of molasses. Just a lot of malt goodness, right? But then this resinous pine kind of hits the nose. A floral sensation. Maybe a bit of earthiness. A slight like copper coin kind of very slight metallic note. Maybe a touch of like a very bitter and chocolate, like an 80 or 90% cacao bar. Maybe a hint of vanilla. As I get more into it, it's more caramel and toffee, maybe a touch of butterscotch, sweeter caramelized fruits, brown sugar. But it doesn't smell, and this is where, your palate changes all the time. And for me, I remember this not quite wrecking my palate going back, 10 to 12 years ago, but definitely impacting it quite a bit and being something that made me sit back and go, wow, like this is like unique. This is definitely a boisterous, intense beer. And now I'm smelling this and I'm like, oh, it smells nice. It smells malty. It smells hoppy. Generic aromatics. Shout out to the train going by. Yeah, it smells pretty good. It smells like a big, malty beer with a decent hop backbone. Or I should say a decent, solid hop forward beer with a big malt backbone. But here's the thing, 10.5%, I don't smell any booze. And I remember this one being kind of boozy. Yeah, no booze whatsoever. We will see. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Okay, there's the booze on the palate. Oh, yeah. Oh. I sometimes forget, going back to the early to mid 2010s, when you got a lot, most of the time, when you got like a I'd say a 9+% beer, you would feel it on the palate, in the chest. Nowadays, breweries have gotten so good at, kind of hiding the ABV that you go back to something like this and your palate awakens from the alcohol for sure. At least mine does. It's not like over the top, but it's definitely noticeable. Like if I was doing this blind, I'd guess at least 10%, probably closer to 11. Like it's pretty boozy. So body, it's just like medium full, almost full body. It has a thick, slightly syrupy nature to it. It's appropriate for a 10.5% American Strong Ale. I don't know if I absolutely love that anymore. When it comes to big beers, like I almost want I'm sitting here trying to think of what I want to say because it's going to sound bad, but a lot of times when I get these 10, 11, 12% American Strong Ales, or let's just say like Imperial Stout or a Barley or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's nice if the body is full, but I don't want necessarily syrupy and like over the top because I still want it to have a little bit of a refreshment to it because it is a beverage that I'm trying to enjoy. I don't want it to be like a, sucking down maple syrup. This is kind of in that range where it's like, has a syrupy nature to it, but it's not over the top. 10.5%, I think the body is appropriate for what this is. The mouthfeel, moderate carbonation. It's crisp on the palate. It's smooth for the most part. Here's the thing, the taste is definitely intense like it used to be. Maybe not to that level. They probably have dumbed it down over the years. Maybe my palate is just adjusted. But right at the forefront, tons of malt. And it's exactly what I said in the nose. I'll try to rehash everything, but there is a nice like toast. I didn't say this in the nose, but there's like this toasty kind of brown bread quality, but that quickly transitions into caramel, toffee, brown sugar, molasses, touch of butterscotch, dark sweet cherry for sure. That's where the big fruitiness is coming to the forefront. On the edge of my palate, there's like hints of vanilla, maybe like in that 80 or 90% cacao bar. Again, that's I'd say first half into 2/3 of the palate. Lots of malt goodness. Then on the back of the palate, I get hit with a big resinous pine, floral hop bitterness. And this hop bitterness is like, I'd say moderate to full-on hop bitterness. There's a lingering bitterness on the back of my palate. This reminds me of those palate-wrecking West Coast IPAs and double IPAs from yesteryear where you would drink it, and after a couple sips, like you would just, the back of your palate would just be like, the bitterness would just squeeze it. And that's kind of what's happening here. Now, not maybe to that level, but it's definitely has a full-on bitterness for me. There's a semi-dry kind of finish as well, but that resinous pine floral bitterness is definitely intense, 100%. 10.5%, I'm starting to get acclimated to it, but big warming in my chest, and there is a bit of an assurancy on the palate. So again, if I was doing this as a whodunit / mystery beer, I would definitely say it's around 10 to 10.5%. I would probably guess somewhere in that range. I might even go higher. I might go in an 11.5 range because again, so many breweries do a great job of hiding beers like this nowadays, where this is an old school stone beer. They probably just kind of maybe tweak the recipe. They always say classified for the hops and the IBUs and everything. I still imagine IBU wise, this is probably 80 to 100, I would assume. It's definitely noticeable on the palate. Look at that glass lacing too, beautiful glass lacing. We'll do one more sip and then I'll lock in a rating. So honestly, I like this one. And I've always liked this one more than Arrogant Bastard. I think because it's imperialized, it's 10+%. And I think more of the malt character comes to the forefront for me. I always found Arrogant Bastard to be a little bit unbalanced to the hop side of things, where it was just like palate wrecking with the malt character being there, but also being a little bit overshadowed by the hops, where I think this is more of a perfect harmony of the hops and the malt. It's still not a flavor profile that I lose my shit over. It's just a ton of malty goodness with a ton of hop goodness. You combine them, and it's just in a very intense, once in a great while beer for me at this point. Like, it's a beer that I don't mind trying, I don't mind reviewing, I don't mind having from time to time, but I probably would never just have this in my fucking fridge or, put some in the cellar to revisit it. Although maybe I should have bought an extra can and see how this is in a couple of years. But anyway, it's a really nice beer for what it is. American Strong Ale, it's pretty well done. I'm not going to go super high on it, but I think it's a pretty fun beer. So Double Bastard Ale, the 2024 release from Stone, straight 4 out of 5. That's where I'll go with this one. I think it's really well done for what it's supposed to be. And I miss the bottles where they just, talk shit because they don't have enough room to put on these cans. Maybe after Greg Cook left the company, they decided, you know what? We don't need all that nonsense on there. But who knows? I don't know. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for this one. Price point availability, I paid like three something, like $3.19 or $3.29 for that can, and I believe 6 packs were $17.99. Might be a little bit cheaper, a little bit more expensive wherever you are, but around $3 for a can of this, 10.5%. They're obviously using a lot of malt, a lot of hops. I'm fine with that. That's a fine price point. $18 for a 6 pack of something that's 10.5%. You can't really beat that. I mean, that's pretty good. It's Stone, so you know what it is. Availability, I'm pretty sure Stone has Beer Finder, so you can check out if you can get this one in your neck of the woods. Thing with Stone here in the Buffalo, New York area, their stuff is hit or miss. Sometimes we get new releases, sometimes we don't. It's been a little bit better over the past year and a half. I've noticed a lot of their seasonals do show up, but not every store carries them, so it's like I got to pick and choose. And one of my favorite local bottle shops, Premier Gourmet, going through some changes. I don't know what that means for breweries like Stone, if we're going to see some of their stuff. Luckily, this came in before any of the changes started, so I was able to grab this one and give it a go. So if you've had this one before, whether it's a prior vintage or this specific release, let me know what you think about it. What's your favorite beer within the Bastard lineup? Was it Bourbon Barrel? I think it was Bourbon Barrel Aged Double Bastard, or maybe was it Bourbon Barrel Aged Lucky Bastard? Maybe just Lucky Bastard. One of those are my favorite. I'd have to go back and check. I don't even know if I checked those all in Untapped. I mean, I've had so many within the Bastard realm, or series, I guess you'd call it, that I kind of forget. I just remember Arrogant Bastard being one of my least favorite from all of them. And, it is what it is. So anyway, I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Till the next one. Cheers.